Business was booming, too booming. Gary and Steve had so many customers that they couldn't keep up. People wanted advice on jobs, relationships, fantasy football. Whether raccoons had secret meetings at night, they do. Nobody knows why. One morning, Gary opened the company mailbox and found a letter. It was from the government. Gary adjusted his shoelace tie nervously. What does it say? Steve peeked over his shoulder. Gary read aloud. Dear Gary and Steve Consulting, we have noticed that your company does not pay taxes. Please explain. Steve immediately fell over. They found us. They found everyone, Steve. That's how taxes work. Steve fainted again. Unfortunately, the government demanded an official audit. A serious inspector named Janet arrived the next week. She entered the office and stared at the employees. Gary, Steve, 3 pigeons asleep in a drawer, a squirrel working as head of security, and a duck whose job nobody understood. Janet took a deep breath. Where are your financial records? Gary proudly handed her a shoebox. Inside were crackers. Only crackers. Thousands of crackers. Janet blinked. Is this your accounting system? Yes. How much money did the company make last year? Gary counted the crackers. Approximately, many. Janet rubbed her forehead. The audit was not going well. Then she found something even worse. A second shoebox labeled emergency crackers. A third shoebox labeled super emergency crackers. A fourth labeled do not eat these. It was empty. Steve looked guilty. Janet spent 3 days trying to understand the company. Eventually she gave up. Her official report simply stated, I don't know what's happening. The pigeons appear successful. Please stop asking me questions. The government accepted it, for reasons nobody understands. Business continued, until an even bigger problem appeared. A crow named Victor. Victor arrived wearing sunglasses and a tiny leather jacket. He owned the city's largest bird corporation, Croco. Victor laughed when he saw Gary's office. You run a company from a park bench? It works. Victor smirked. Not for long. The next morning, Croco opened a giant office building across the street. It had glass windows, fancy signs, a coffee machine. Steve was horrified. They have walls. Customers started leaving. Soon, Gary and Steve Consulting was struggling. The future looked grim. Then Steve had an idea, which was dangerous because Steve never had ideas. The last one involved a shopping cart and fireworks. What if, Steve said, we stop trying to be professional? Gary frowned. We've never been professional. Exactly. The next day, they moved their office onto a playground slide. Customers loved it. Advice sessions happened while sliding. Business meetings took place on swings. The squirrel security guard chased everyone equally. Croco couldn't compete. Victor's office was too boring. Within weeks, customers returned. Croco eventually closed. Victor admitted defeat. How did you beat us? Steve smiled. Simple. He pointed at Gary. He's smart. Then he pointed at himself. And I'm a terrible idea generator. Gary nodded. Together, we're unstoppable. At that exact moment, Steve accidentally launched himself off the slide into a trash can. The company gained 3 new customers immediately.